I don't want to spend time in here. We need these things to get going. So we're gonna try, again, I want to address anybody's question, but let's keep moving forward. We're at 9:30 now, and I wanted to be going at 9:05, so here we go. This is the last chapter in our white book. And I got some nice handouts to buttress some things here. Okay, chronic adaptations to exercise, okay? Exercise is a stressor. Know that. Exercise is a stressor. Explain fuel use during exercise. We got to that a little bit, knowing our energy systems. Phosphagen system, anaerobic glycolysis in the oxidative system, adaptations in the muscular system, growth in muscle fiber adaptations, general training principles. We're going to see some advanced ones here at 11. Describe the acute and chronic adaptations to flexibility training. Okay. Rest exercise requires the circulatory and respiratory systems to increase oxygen delivery. Okay, a little bit of review here from some earlier screens that we had in handouts. Okay, oxygen demands, increased demands, two major adjustments in blood flow occur. We spoke of this, redistribution of blood flow from the inactive organs to the active skeletal muscles, known as what? Hypertrophy, and increased cardiac output. Remember, cardiac output in your book might have a dot below or above the Q. Stroke rate times heart volume. Okay? Regulation of the heart is controlled by the sinoatrial node. Okay, there's another node, AV node.
Atrioventricular.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to say atrioventricular nodes. We have two. Extrinsically by the nervous and endocrine systems, again, hormones. And changes in the heart rate are influenced by the parasympathetic and sympathetic divisions of the autonomic nervous system. Okay, Dee spoke of this a little bit yesterday, as we have. Cardiac muscle is able to maintain its own rhythm. Okay, anybody had gross anatomy or human biology or comparative anatomy? You pit the frog or a toad. Pithing means you're giving it basically a little lobotomy, almost a pithing machine. You get the poor little amphibian, stick it in a thing that looks like a stapler, and you hit it quick. You've just given it a lobotomy, and it doesn't feel pain anymore. You open it up, you cut open its little heart and put it in saline solution, and it'll continue to beat for almost an hour. Okay? That's what's made by this, the inherent rhythm. Okay? Anybody seen that? Very interesting. I did that a while back. I don't know if PETA got on the bandwagon and says you can't torture amphibians, but again, that's the purpose of the pithing process, to theoretically give it no pain, other than the instantaneous compression into its cranium to do the lobotomy. So you do it on the frog doesn't have a very big brain to begin with, but you do it on the just be over the eyes, so the medulla is left still intact. Okay, parasympathetic regulation. Parasympathetic fibers reach the heart via the vagus nerves, which will make contact at both the SA and the AV nodes. Okay, when stimulated, the vagus nerve release acetylcholine, decreasing SA and AV node activity and reducing heart rate. Okay, sympathetic regulation. Sympathetic fibers connect to the heart via the cardiac accelerator nerves, which innervate the SA node and the ventricles. When stimulated, epinephrine and norepinephrine, a couple of our hormones, are increased, accelerating depolarization of the SA node, increasing the heart rate contractility. At the onset of exercise, initial increase of heart rate up to 100 beats per minute is due to the withdrawal of the parasympathetic tone. Okay? If you have a deconditioned subject, gang, onset of exercise might get them way past 100 as well. Going up the stairs might get them past 100. That's why they take the elevator. We have an elevator here. I got in trouble because I kept deactivating it. Okay? Everybody know where I'm going with this? Yeah, I train a lady in a wheelchair up there. She gives me a call. Hey, Zach, I'm down. Okay. Yeah, I got in trouble. I got written up because I said, we're here for fitness. And I said, I'm not depriving anybody access to the building because I've put a note, call if you need the elevator. I'm a little bit radical like that, but it just drives me crazy.
You could put a note up there, sign for disabled subjects only.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to, but I got in trouble. And you know what? I didn't give a damn. I took that note written up like a badge of honor.
Right upon my chest.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay. Increased cardiac output, increase in end diastolic volume, which causes a stretch in cardiac fibers, thereby creating stronger force of contraction. Okay, and one thing to remember, gang, blood volume during exercise will change, because if it's going into muscles for hypertrophy, the actual amount going through the cardiac system will be slightly decreased. Okay. Blood pressure during exercise, as I indicated earlier, we've talked about blood pressure quite a bit already. Your systole, that's what, the pumping phase, gang, correct? Systolic blood pressure has a much higher increase during exercise than the diastole. Due to increased contractility of the heart, increased stroke volume, muscular need for greater force, and vasodilation within the exercising muscle. Excuse me, I'm gonna burp.
We have a couple of guys at Fireman, because every year we have a wellness or vital choice test, and part of that's you can either average, if you don't have really good blood pressure, you can average your blood pressures, your resting heart rate blood pressures, and then if they want to cheat the system, they work out and they get their heart rate jacked up, which increases, vasodilatates your arteries and stuff. So when they're done working out, half hour later, their arteries are still dilated. So they go and take the blood pressure. Oh, I have 105 over 90 over 50. I'm like, okay, what's your heart rate still? And it's still above the our
standard resting.
our top level, our top point value for our system. But so I put in the thing. It's got to be taken at the same time. Your heart rate's got to be documented at the same time as your blood pressure, or it doesn't count. So.
Cool. Yeah, yesterday was interesting. After class, I was working with Anna on some figures. What was my heart rate last night? 48. Yeah, that's what running will do for you, gang. I wish I could make my blood pressure go down, but I got hypertension to a degree, so I take a med. Still kind of high. But anyways, if you get anything from this slide, your systolic blood pressure will go up during exercise, as we know. So some people say, well, why should I exercise? And I'm trying to lower my blood pressure and I'm raising it. Yes, during exercise it will raise, but if you have adherence to exercise, probably it's going to go down. It can't hurt it any. Okay, blood distribution. Mentioned this a little bit earlier. Exercise affects blood flow to various organs, systems differently. Skeletal muscle receives about 15 to 20% of total cardiac output during rest. Look, 80 to 85 during maximal exercise. Of course, submaximal, your percentage would be a bit lower. Okay. Blood volume, I mentioned earlier as well, affected by hydrostatic pressure of a muscle contraction, accumulation of metabolites, and sweat. Okay. The body preserves blood volume during exercise by several means. Okay. Offsetting the small decrease in stroke volume by increasing heart rate. increasing vasoconstriction in the non-working muscles to maintain peripheral resistance and blood pressure, releasing vasopressin and, I always have a hard, aldosterone to help reduce water and sodium loss. During resistance training, the working muscles experience a temporary increase in fluid accumulation, which results in the feeling of fullness in the muscle. As I indicated, we call that hypertrophy. Or if it's only symptomatic hypertrophy, we call that transient hypertrophy. The long-term hypertrophy from micro-trauma of muscles being repaired, that's what we call sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Ventilatory regulation. Aerobic exercise. Good, right? Increase in oxygen to the working tissues, increased return of carbon dioxide to the lungs, okay, an increase in the volume of air breathed per minute. That's what we call minute ventilation. The air inspired per minute. Notice air, not oxygen.